Let's say now that we want to add some logic to this form so that we can verify that these form inputs are completed before the form is submitted so that we're not getting empty form submissions. What we're going to have to do is use JavaScript for this functionality. JavaScript is traditionally added to the head of the HTML page, but in recent history, it is commonly now added to the bottom of the page right before the closing body tag. And the reason this is because anything that's added to the head is loaded before the entire page will load. So the page will halt displaying until every single style sheet and JavaScript file is loaded. So a way around that is to add it right before the body and then add some code to JavaScript to wait until the page is loaded before trying to manipulate elements on the page. Because if the JavaScript loads and you're trying to manipulate page elements and they don't exist, then you're going to receive some errors. So let's add a JavaScript here. And we're going to put this in the assets folder under JS. We're going to name this main.js. And we'll save that. Open a new file. And this is going to be our JavaScript file. I'm going to save this in that assets folder under JS. Now, as I mentioned, the first thing that we'll want to do is add a onload event to make sure that all the elements on the page are loaded. What I'm going to do to handle this is use the window object, which is the browser window. So we want to make sure that the browser window is completely loaded. So when that loads, we're going to call a function. And JavaScript is a bit out of scope for this book. It's not a topic that's covered, but I felt like it was necessary to just show a little example of how to include it and how to add just a little bit of code. So now once this page is loaded, we're going to check just the name, just to make sure that there's a name there. So we'll need to use the document model to get an element by ID. And if we come back over to our index and look at that input for the name, there isn't an actual ID. So I'm going to just copy the name and use that as the ID as well. So context name is our ID for that element now. So if I come over here, I'll say get elements. That's supposed to be by ID. Contact name. So that's going to give us our contact name. We can put that in a variable called contact name. And then we're going to wait for our form to be submitted to check if there's a value for contact name. In order to do that, we're going to use another document get element by ID. Nowadays, there's much easier ways to do this. You can use jQuery, which will help you minimize a lot of this JavaScript and is just a much easier way to approach this. So our form doesn't have an ID either, so we're going to come in here and we're going to give that an ID. I'm going to say contact form for ID. Let's give this a variable name of contact form. So we'll say, okay, contact form on submit equals function. So when the form is submitted, this function will be called. and we'll say if the contact name, and we're going to check the value, is equal to an empty string, which means that the input is empty, then we are not going to submit the form. So return false means that this whole submission process is going to end. Instead of moving forward, that's going to stop this submission process. In addition to that, I'm going to throw an alert and say, please enter your name. Now let's come over to a web browser and see if that works the way we want it to. So I'm not going to enter a name, and I'm going to hit contact me. And as you can see, the form is not submitted, and a JavaScript alert pops up saying, please enter your name.